Hell no. Look where you found yourself. This is Hammer Away, and I'm Viking Stew. Let's get hammered.
Let's do it.
What's up, guys? This is Jaron Galino with Lynch Mob, and I'm hanging with Viking Stew on the Hammer Away show.
Hello, folks. It has been a few minutes. I'll tell you what, it's good to be back. I tell you what, though, it's a sad day. I put a message out there earlier today on Facebook about it. Here, we'll talk about Ozzy tonight.
Can you dig it?
Yeah, so, hi. You can see things are a little different. Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah, we are going to do that, right? I don't know why it automatically has to do that. You ever have that where you're like, why is it automatically defaulted to repeating again? Don't need that. Not unless I ask it to. Well, a good evening to Salvatore. How are you? It says good afternoon, good evening here, good afternoon. It's wherever you are is whatever it is. So hello to Casey as well. It's great to be back. So this is kind of one of those situations where it's not so great to be having to talk about this kind of stuff, but it's almost like when you get together with family or friends and it's at a ceremony for somebody who's passed. So it's kind of like, hey, we're back, but really sorry about the reason that we're back today. I mean, it's great to be back today. It's not a problem. But it's wild. I don't know who has seen the farewell show that they did in Birmingham. I've seen some of it. Some of it's just completely killer, and I suppose most of it is. But I am looking forward to seeing it. I think they're going to be releasing it, and that's something I look forward to seeing. So there was a couple of things. So you notice that I have rearranged over here. I've gotten my music DVDs over here. We got Gameage over here. If I spin this just a skosh, we got books over here. There you go. Some of my favorite artists too, and some of these things that I'm really looking forward to checking out, such as Daisy Jones and the Six, which was made into a television show that I completely enjoyed. This is a Big Rock Beat. This is one of the books that was done by Greg Kinn, one of his novels. He did a bunch of novels before passing away not too long ago. There's a book about Marco from Nightwish and other projects as well. There's my buddy Ron Keel, Even Keel, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to check that book out, look for that out there on the internet. I just got this not too long ago, and I think we talked about that, and Party Every Day, which is about Casablanca Records. So just some highlighted things with some of my favorite rock and roll Funko Pops. I did find a halfway decent price on the on an Ozzy one, and I'll tell you the reason why I got the one that I got. So we'll kind of get into that. We're just going to kind of talk about Ozzy, talk about how I started getting into him. There's one vinyl I did not pull from the other room, and it's I'd say it's not totally necessary, but there again. And one more hello to Metal Torso. What is going on? How's it going? There we go. There's Casey and Mr. Salvatore, who was first. How about that? Yeah. So Ozzy was a situation where there was the album Heavy Metal. I've talked about it before. It was a ridiculous record. However, full of great music. Don't get me wrong. All the songs on it, I love, but it is a silly record, much like Camelot. It's a silly place. Where it's called heavy metal, but it had, if you remember correctly, it has Van Morrison, Delaney and Bonnie, Yes, James Gang, Eagles, so things that aren't heavy metal. But anyway, it did have Iron Man on it by Black Sabbath. Now, I wasn't familiar with Black Sabbath outside of that song, and this album, like I said, came out in 1974. So it was just prior to me turning 10, and I wasn't into AOR rock stations yet. I was still listening to whatever we were listening to on the radio. So I wasn't into listening to that. Any Black Sabbath. It took me a long time. I like someone else that I just heard about recently said that they weren't into Black Sabbath until it was the Dio time frame, and that was me, because Never Say Die had come out, Technical Ecstasy had come out, and then I still wasn't into them, and Technical Ecstasy wasn't anything really hyped up or anything that a lot of people listened to. So once Heaven and Hell came out, and even then it didn't catch me. And then their involvement in the movie Mob Rules brought about the radio station near me playing Turn Up the Night. And then you see the movie Heavy Metal, and they're playing Mob Rules and that. So, so a great soundtrack. So then I'm like, well, yeah, I'm buying Mob Rules. So that's when I got started. Hey, what's up, Nita? How are you? No More Tears. Yeah, that's interesting. I did download. I don't know if I can get it in here or not, or whether I want to play the whole thing. I mean, I suppose I should. Let me see if I can get it in here while we're chatting about this. But let's see what we got here. Add a file. I downloaded the news footage from NBC today about this. I checked out the one from Fox. I didn't like it. It was very contrived. I just didn't like it. Just because they were, the lead guy on that story was talking about it, and he's like, yeah, I met Ozzy, and then he's like, well, we'll go to this guy, and then that guy wasn't there. So he goes to this other woman, and she starts saying some stuff that was, yeah. And then they got the guy in, and he's like, yeah, they had songs. He was in Black Sabbath, and they had songs, blah, blah, blah. And then he mentions Crazy Train, I think. And then he goes, then he had a solo career. I'm like, okay, you've just screwed that up. In fact, I was going to read something from a book, which is right here. This Rock Movers and Shakers. I don't know if you've ever seen this book. Mine is all torn up. It is a mess. If I do this, look, I'm magic. I can just pull the book apart. How's that for torn up? But they had a bit in here about Ozzy, and when they do this, it's chronological. So it kind of goes through their career and what they were doing this year, this month of this year. But it didn't seem like things matched up right. In fact, we're going to do a quick little dive into a box that I've got right here. And I wanted to see with you guys if I can find my Ozzy ticket from 1982. It said something about Kerslake coming back. And then they did a tour for Diary of a Madman. I'm like, that's not right, because I saw Tommy Aldrich on stage with Ozzy when he collapsed. So I don't know. The video's still working its way out. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So that's kind of how it started. Black Sabbath on that one track. And then Ozzy came out on his solo career. Now, we're going to get started with that in just a second. What I wanted to do is I have this brand new bottle of Jameson, and I thought it would be great to do a toast. If anybody's got anything they want to put up for a toast, I'm going to put this in my Ireland shot glass because it's worth it. You know what I mean? So a shot of your own wherever you are. just a little something. And I know some people may think this is a little weird to be toasting Ozzy with my Jameson with all of the issues he had with alcohol. But this is all I'm doing. So it's not like I'm, going nuts. All right. Cheers to Ozzy. Rest in peace, brother. And we will see you on the other side. Damn, that's good. That's just what we needed. So, there it is. All right, let's see if...
Bottom of the hour here on NBC News Daily, and we are following breaking news. Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary heavy metal singer known as the Prince of Darkness, has died at the age of 76. Osbourne's family saying in a statement in part that he died this morning surrounded by love. Osbourne was the frontman of pioneering heavy metal band Black Sabbath. He went on to have a successful solo career. His death comes just weeks after a farewell concert in Birmingham, England. Morning News Now anchor Joe Fryer looks back at Ozzy Osbourne's incredible career.
He was known as the Prince of Darkness, music royalty crowned with metal. Ozzy Osbourne rose to fame in the 1970s as lead singer of Black Sabbath, the band that gave the heavy metal genre a lift, with hits like Paranoid. Then in 1979 came major changes. Ozzy was fired from the group for excessive drinking and drug use. He would quickly rebound, launching a long, successful solo career with songs like Crazy Train and the power ballad Mama, I'm Coming Home.
What rock and roll has done for me is you couldn't buy it. I mean, it's changed everything for me. Because like 20 years ago, I was just a nothing person living in a nothing existence. I never had any excitement in my life.
Osbourne was born in 1948 in Birmingham, England. As a young boy, he never could have imagined decades later he'd perform for the Queen, singing at her Golden Jubilee in 2002. It was a career filled with accomplishments, winning Grammy Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and the creation of Ozzfest, a successful music festival that boosted up-and-coming bands. But there were...
Now that's kind of one of the other times that I saw Ozzy. So the first time I saw Ozzy was for Diary of a Madman. I had a friend of mine who had an extra ticket. He asked me if I wanted to go. It was in Champaign, which is oddly enough where REO Speedwagon's former members just had a big concert in Champaign, Illinois, where they're from, and just did a big show over there. So I went over to see that show, and there was the star. I think why am I losing the name of the band? I've talked about it millions of times, and Starfighters was the opening act, and that was Stevie Young, who is now in AC/DC, the nephew of Malcolm and Angus. And let's see, what is this? I'm eating icing out of the container. Is that the equivalent of is that the equivalent of like squirrel in eating? Is that what it is? You can go on with icing and then, hey, toast. That was your first concert. Cool. Wow. Thanks, Torso. I really appreciate that. Yeah, these are the things that I'm hoping we can talk about tonight. Some of the favorite albums, favorite songs. Of course, there's the big, huge thing where it's, I had an argument with a friend years ago because they said that Bark at the Moon was a great album. And I'm like, it's not a great album. Has great songs, but it's not a great album. Because pretty much of So Tired. Now, I did just hear So Tired earlier today. I'm like, wow, is this another? Because I get unfamiliar with So Tired because I don't like listening to it. It's not that it's the worst thing ever written. It's just, I'm just not a big fan. So, obviously I knew, like everybody else, what's shaking Blake? Shaking Blake. Come on. Obviously I knew, like everybody else, that after the farewell show, he would pass. Yeah. It's like I mentioned in my, in my text to introduce the show. I think we all had that feeling, but when it's this close, it's kind of a shocker to those of us who are just, away from the situation. But yeah, we all kind of had that feeling that things were going to happen and happen soon, but not maybe that soon. So anyway, but yeah, Diary of a Madman tour. So it was Don Airey, Randy Rhoads, Rudy Sarzo, and Tommy Aldrich on drums. So he had bitten the head off the bat weeks prior up in Des Moines in Iowa. And then here we are in Champaign, Illinois. And they start into Over the Mountain. And there they are. It's, again, I just mentioned the band. So they're rocking it out, killing it. And here comes Ozzy. And this is the reason why there's two reasons I bought the Ozzy that I did today, the Funko Pop. First of all, it was of a reasonable price. Let's just say it's a little more than I like to spend on them, but not that much, because I am cheap ultimately. Let's remember that. But I got it because it's that outfit that he wore during that time frame. He came out in the t-shirt, the long sleeve t-shirt with the tassels with the fringe on the arms, and he's going to town. And here it is. Here come the lyrics. You know them, you love them because you've heard them a million times already. The album was still fresh, and he comes out and he goes, over the map, wham, and hits the floor. And we're like, everybody just starts cheering because you think it's a part of the shtick, right? And then they come out, they take him off stage. You think he's going to come out in the outfit on the back of the record where it's all white and he's got the jacket on and all that stuff. And nope. You get it. So then you're sitting there watching, you continue to watch these four guys rock this song instrumentally. So getting to see Randy Rhoads play, even though it was one song, was still a piece of history. And those guys just played so well together. It was killer. And then after the song was over, they left the stage and an announcer came out and said that Ozzy had been taken to the hospital. So he'd had the reaction to the shots, which also could have, gotten pushed a little bit further because of drug use or alcohol use, whatever it was. So, yeah, it was a rough time for him at that point. I got rid of So Tired on digital and put on One Up the B-side, and Bark at the Moon is 10 times better. See? There you go. Ultimate Sin is a great album. It is, but production sounds horrible. Yeah. That's Keith Olsen, I think, right? Who did that one? Ultimate Sin is one of my all-time favorite Ozzy records. Not only because of all the great music, but damn, when you follow it up with a great cover by Boris Vallejo, come on. And a custom cover by Boris Vallejo. It's kind of like the custom cover that Boris did for Molly Hatchet. He did Take No Prisoners. Kick ass. That was the only disappointment I had when Danny Joe Brown came back to Molly Hatchet, is that they didn't do a painting. They did that photo on the front, which is fine. I'm not knocking it. It's just, you set a precedent, and then you went back to the precedent after that record came out. That photo could have easily been the back cover photo. And I get it. Maybe they didn't have the money for it, but I don't know. There's so many Death Dealer paintings. They could have easily used a Death Dealer painting. Yngwie Malmsteen even used a Death Dealer painting on War to End All Wars. Nita, I remember being with my dad at Walmart, asked if I could buy an album, pulled out Diary of a Madman, saw the upside down cross on the cover. I got verbally slapped with religion all the way home. So yeah, that was hard. A hard no. Blizzard of Oz. Hey, Phil, what's up, brother? Glad to have you here, man. Blizzard of Oz is still my favorite album. At 11 years old, my cousin played the Ozzy album, and Hank Williams Jr. Hey, those kind of just, no, they don't. Hank Williams Jr., I gave back the Hank cassette and got my parents to take me to the mall so I could buy the cassettes. So I Don't Know was the first song I heard, and I became an instant fan. Amen to that, man. It's a great, great song. Great, great song. Lots of love going around. No, it was Ron Nevison. Thank you, Ron Nevison. Ozzy on his production. Ron had no imagination. Everything sounded the same. Well, you know, that's kind of like Ron Nevison did some work, I think, with Heart at the time too, and many other things. But that's what I remember. And Pete's here. What's up? So it's kind of Tom Werman-ish, right? Tom Werman's kind of like that. I don't think Tom ever really pushed a band enough. He just kind of was like, what do you want to do? Okay, I can make that happen. I saw Ozzy. Paul, what's up, Paul? How you doing? I saw Ozzy on the Blizzard of Oz tour in Birmingham in 81 or 82. Sweet. Oh, man. I would have loved to have seen that first tour. That would have been great. That's just, you know. So the next time that I would see Ozzy was because, of course, I'd see him very short, you know, boop, 3 words, boom, and 2.5 words, really, technically, and boom, out. And then I wouldn't see him again until they did the Speak of the Devil tour. So let's take a look here real quick at some of those things. Was there any reference to the song Changes? What do you mean? During what? Was there any reference? During what? There's my question to you. Answer a question with a question. Some people really hate that. So these are the vinyl that I had. I found, I got this many years later. It's a NEMS release. I did buy it brand new back in the day. And it's Paranoid. So this was my first vinyl with Ozzy and one of my only vinyl with Ozzy. Not like I'm super proud of that, but you know, it's just the way it goes. It wasn't my style necessarily at the time. So it had to grow on me. So, but then I did find this. This is also a NEMS release of Black Sabbath, the greatest hits. Isn't that a strange title? Maybe best of? I don't remember a lot of these being hits. But again, guy walking around the office, big stogie in the mouth. Nah, put it on there. It's a hit. It has Paranoid, NIB, Nativity in Black, for those of you who wonder what NIB is. Changes, there you go. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Iron Man, Black Sabbath, War Pigs, which I've played many, many times. Laguna Sunrise, Tomorrow's Dream. Did I play that? No. And Sweet Leaf. If you know what I mean. So with this famous painting of hell, so those are the only 2 Ozzy related releases I have, other than that heavy metal with Iron Man on it. Let's see what we got. Reason for the song Changes, Personal Life. Oh, no, Changes came out years prior. And now you got me on the ropes because Changes, Black Sabbath. Because again, that is on volume 4. So great record. Great record. Let's see if we can pull that up real quick, and I'll tell you the songs that are on that. Changes is on there. Let's see, the UK CD. What is that? Oh, I see. That's no. Okay, so let's back it up. Back it up. So volume 4. Let's see if we can get to it here. All right, so that has Wheels of Confusion, FX, Cornucopia, Tomorrow's Dream. There you go. Supernaut, Laguna Sunrise, Changes, Snowblind is on there, and St. Vitus Dance. This is one of, if it might be this one. My friend Guy, and I'm wearing his Black Sabbath shirt right now. If you can see that. His Never Say Die shirt. But volume 4, I believe, is his favorite. Was his favorite Black Sabbath album. So it was cool. Let's see here. 1972. Yeah, it's amazing. So let me get into when I'm going through this vinyl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I have 7 OZZY vinyl. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Now, I'm going to show you the front first. Blizzard of Oz, of course. And I'm going to put this one aside for the moment, because then I have this one, all right? And you see, this is the regular cover that most everybody has. Not to say that there weren't a lot of the other one that I just showed you, but this was like, if you've got the CD, this is the back cover. But I found this one, which has, if you look at the back here, has this photo on it, all right? So you've got Randy Rhoads, Ozzy Osbourne, and then you've got Lee Kerslake here, and you've got Bob Daisley there. Now, there's all the points of contention about who wrote what, and I can believe that Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake wrote a lot of the stuff, along with Randy Rhoads. Check all that out if you want to, if that's something you care about. If it's not, don't worry about it. The follow-up album, this I played a lot. Diary of a Madman. I mean, you know, when it comes to sophomore records, boom, right there. Now, the other thing too is I was just listening to a track. It might have been So Tired, which is interesting because I was thinking about how ELO it sounded. And the interesting thing about that is at the time, both of them were on Jet Records. So if you had a copy of Out of the Blue by ELO, that was Jet Records, and Ozzy was on Jet Records, subsidiary. So then here you go. So I go to the concert. This was back when things were kind of affordable, right? Here's the tour book. We'll do a walk through this later, but here is the tour book that I bought there to go along with, well, actually, this might have been, I might have bought this at the Speak of the Devil. Yep, I bought this at the Speak of the Devil tour. But just awesome stuff. This is all from what it looked like when I saw him in '82 for the Diary of a Madman tour. So I tend to put those in my record collection right by the vinyl. Really, really cool. We'll do it, like I say, we'll do a deep dive into that. And there you go. Speak of the Devil. First time I ever saw Jakey Lee on stage with Ozzy, and what a fantastic show. Jakey Lee had a war with his guitar. This album, of course, was all of the Black Sabbath stuff. Speak of the Devil. You had Rudy Sarzo on bass, Brad Gillis on guitar, Tommy Aldrich on drums, and Don Airy on keyboards. This was recorded by the Record Plant Mobile, recorded live at the Ritz in New York, the 26th and 27th of September in 1982. Brad Gillis was trying to do the tour. We've talked about it before, trying to do that tour with Night Ranger, but they didn't want to do it. They wouldn't do it. He's like, could we do the Night Ranger tour? Because then we could just open and then I can play the Ozzy stuff. And they didn't want to do that. Kurt, how are you? What is up, buddy? How you doing? Good to see you here, man. We've got lots of folks here. Oh, one Red Cloud. What the fuck? Why now? Why now what? Why now what? Why now like he died? Why now? Give me an explain on that. I watched Ozzy Speak of the Devil video, not on DVD, but on YouTube with my soundbar. Brad Gillis is awesome guitarist. Yes, he is. And it was louder than what I thought it'd be. Interesting. Yeah, Brad's a great guitar player. Not only that, just a great guy too. If you ever have the chance to meet up with him. I still go back to when I met Night Ranger with my dad. And it was great to go, Dad, this is Brad Gillis. Brad, this is my dad, Will. And he goes, well, hi, Will. And they shake hands. I was like, this is great. My sincere condolences to the Ozzy Osbourne family as his fans who followed him throughout the many years of entertaining everyone. Absolutely, Kurt. Well said. It's, I said early on that I haven't been, let's put it that way, in the past. I haven't been that guy who gets, weepy about a lot of this stuff, because I never had a chance to meet Ozzy. I always wanted to. And I've met Rudy Sarzo. I've met Brad Gillis. Trying to think if there's anybody else in that camp that I've met. I've met Zach Wilde. I should be interviewing Phil Susan sometime soon. Hopefully that'll work out. I only say that because of timing. It should work out easily enough, but Phil Susan was in that time frame during that Ultimate Sin area, just later on. So then next I have the Bark at the Moon. There we go. And again, great record. The Bark at just everything except So Tired. I just that when I hit that song on the record, I'm just like, really. But otherwise, I love it. I love all the songs. This was produced by, it says Osbourne, Bob Daisley and Max Norman worked on this, just like on the ones prior. But let's just talk about some of the songs. Bark at the Moon, You're No Different, Now You See It, Now You Don't. Rock and Roll Rebel, Center of the Universe, Center of Eternity. What a great song, Center of Eternity. Man, I love that song. And then So Tired, whoops. Slow Down, just listened to that a few minutes ago. And Waiting for Darkness was a great, great haunting ending. Great ending track for that album. Let's see. Barking at the Moon. Awesome. Oh, man. I'd love to be on the show with Phil Susan. I'd love to ask some questions. I'd have to get my mic set up before that. Well, yeah, or if you just have some questions, you can always just email them to me and just let me know. Oh, woof. Oh, woof. Then when I was working on the radio, of course, I had the very great pleasure and honor of playing Shot in the Dark from Ultimate Sin. I love the Ultimate Sin. This album, just front to back, it's a great album. Lightning Strikes, Killer of Giants, Thank God for the Bomb. Just listened to that recently, just a few minutes ago. Never, and then Shot in the Dark. The Ultimate Sin is a great song. Secret Losers, great. Never Know Why, and Fool Like You. I mean, this has got some great rockers on it. So you've got Ozzy Osbourne, you've got Jakey Lee, Phil Soussan, and then, of course, Randy Castillo on drums. And as Blake let me know and corrected me, Ron Nevison on production. And then, like I say, there's that great, look at that. Let's see if I can get close with this. Look at that. If you're not super familiar with Boris Vallejo, just check out some more of his stuff, because this is a great album cover. And again, the album cover he did, and he's for Molly Hatchet. The last vinyl I have is a live album, which is the Just Say Ozzy. And I believe I got this from the record company. And it's 1990. Is that right? Yeah. It's got Miracle Man, Bloodbath in Paradise, Shot in the Dark, Tattooed Dancer, Sweet Leaf, and War Pigs. But the band is what it's all about. So you had Geezer Butler, Randy Castillo, and Zakk Wylde. I mean, shit. There was a great movie that was done. It was a documentary about Native American artists and musicians. And Randy Castillo has a nice, cool, big part in that movie that they talk about him. You got to get rolling. All right, got to get. Love you too. Have a good one. Shot in the Dark is an amazing video. It is a lot of fun. That's definitely back in the day, man. When you look at it now, if you're brand new to it and have never seen it, it can be a little goofy, a little, you know, but nonetheless, you know. So Ozzy Osbourne as Satan on the Ultimate Sin cover. Yeah. It was wild. Yeah. A great record though. Great record. Then, of course, when it comes to CDs, it starts the same. I got Paranoid. But then also I have the Reunion live album. I also have the Reunion DVD as well. And then, of course, the Symptom of the Universe collection that they put out, which is 70 to 78. So that is really good too. If you're looking for something that's kind of inclusive of a lot of the great tracks from those early albums. It's good. I don't remember the year that it came out, and it's one of those kind of darkness down here things. 2002. Wow. So a couple of years ago. 2002. We'll do a deep dive into that one too, because it's got a booklet. One of the things that I'm going to do is talk about those. So because that's something that not everybody checks out. If you're kind of like me, you don't always get round to checking those out. And I think that's something I can help with. We can all learn about it together. All right. So then CD wise for Ozzy, we've got Blizzard of Oz. It's going to look kind of the same. And then Diary of the Madman. Speak of the Devil. There we go. Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads got the tribute album. Bark of the Moon. And then Ultimate Sin. And this is when I started getting CDs, because I don't have this one. Of course, I got this from the record company, because I was doing reviews and interviews at the time. So No Rest for the Wicked. What a great... I ended up getting this on cassette too. I think they sent it to me on cassette. Maybe they sent me the cassette and I bought the CD. We got No More Tears. Great album. Really, really strong. Mr. Tinker Train's great. I Don't Want to Change the World. Mama, I'm Coming Home. Desire. It's one of my favorites. No More Tears. What a great mix on that. Just killer mix. And let's see. Sin. Then there's Hellraiser. Yes. It's a great song. Time After Time, of course. Zombie Stomp is one of my all-time favorites. You ever have a song that comes on your stereo at just the right time? You're in the car or you're doing something and it comes on and it's perfect. That one came on one day while I was in my car. AVH and Road to Nowhere then. Great record. Then I have the live Ozzy. Really, really good. And look at that. The soundtrack to the Osbournes. I even have some of the television programs too. How many seasons do I have of that? 2 of them. I think I have 1 and 2. So I'll be watching that. Osmosis, another great record, came out. Perry Mason's on here, and many others. Just great stuff. There's another great record. Then I got Down to Earth. Not one of my all-time favorites, but I'll be listening to it again and seeing, what I think. Then, of course, as we do, we make our own things, right? Our own collections before we had all the digital stuff going on. And, I just was listening to my playlist that I made on a digital service. So, but, back in the day, you didn't do that. You made a 2 CD set, right? Called, since it was 2 CDs, I called it the Madman Always Strikes Twice. All right. And so then let's see, this is disc 1. So I put Crazy Train, Perry Mason, Bark at the Moon, Miracle Man, Paranoid Live, Tonight, No More Tears, The Ultimate Sin, Flying High Again, Time After Time, Revelation, Mother Earth, Steal Away the Night, of course, because you have to put that after it, Lightning Strikes, Desire, Zombie Stomp, and Changes Live. And then on the second volume, I put, let's see what we got. Crazy Babies. I just was going through that. I love singing that song. Over the Mountain, I Don't Know. See You on the Other Side. Back on Earth, which I do believe is from Down to Earth, isn't it? I think that's on that. Rock and Roll Rebel. I Don't Want to Change the World. Close Your Eyes with Lita Ford. How about that? Didn't even mention that one. Shot in the Dark. Mama, I'm Coming Home. Center of Eternity. Never Know Why. Sado. Let's see. Party with the Animals. We're going to get to that in a minute. I Just Want You. I just listened to that earlier. And of course, I finished it up with Diary of a Madman. That was next. If you'll notice right there, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Party with the Animals is on there. Also, there's a great Rob Halford tune on here too. What is it called? Light in the Black. Light comes out of black. Light comes out of black. Yeah. By Rob Halford. Great soundtrack. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie. So check that out. Now, I'm sure Ozzy'd be spinning in his grave if he knew that in my collection, what comes after Ozzy Osbourne? Donny Osmond. I just had to show that. It's just, he'd be laughing. He would love it. Come on. He had a good sense of humor, that's for sure. You have to if you're Ozzy. That's the way it was. Let's see if I can move this. So here's some other things. Masters of Metal. This is a book by Lee Martin, and it's just a quick synopsis of certain bands and artists. There's Black Sabbath right there. And Ozzy's on the cover. There you go. So if you want to check that out, see if you can find that. And there's Ozzy, comes right after Ted Nugent. There you go. 2 pages. There seemed like there was something I wanted to read in here. You have to admit that the man's slightly crazy. At an American record company reception in 81, he bit the head off of a dove. Then, at a concert in Des Moines, early in 82, he tried to bite the head off a bat that a fan had thrown on stage. The half-chewed bat bit back, and Ozzy was rushed to the hospital for rabies injections, later on collapsing on stage in Illinois. So there you go. I almost thought about using that a little bit earlier and using it as a setup for that. Here's another magazine that I have, Guitar Legends, of course. There's this, I love this classic shot of Ozzy and Randy Rhoads on stage. Just wonderful. And then here's a classic. I love this. This is a guitar magazine from October 1984. Ozzy Osbourne on Iommi, Rhoads, Gillis, and Lee. There you go. There he is with Jakey Lee. And here's another one. He was in so many of the other magazines that I've got, but these were the ones that were right on hand. Here he is. Outrageous interview. Ozzy, the Ultimate Sinner Speaks, from Superstar Special number 16 of Metal Maniacs, the Madmen of hard rock. There you go. How about that? You also had Motley Crue, Wasp, Iron Maiden, Twisted Sister, and Kiss. So yeah, I'm trying to see if there was anything. Oh yeah, there you go. There's a spectacular photo of Ozzy with those funky, pointy, fingery things. Kind of reminds me of the things that were on. There was a movie called Swashbuckler. Oh, there you go. This must be a Niels Lauser. Zlozauer, must be a Niels Zlozauer photo. This could have been in his book. There you go. Ozzy with Motley Crue doing the flip off, doing the big old FU with Jakey Lee there with him. So, yeah, those were wild times for those guys. That's for sure. Great magazine, though. Well, you know, yeah, little Dokken in there, Billy Idol. There you go. This one's for you, Blake. There you go. Little Chris Holmes there. Nice stuff. Thunder Road with Night Ranger right next to him there. Here you go. Jeff Watson and Jack and Brad. And then the other things that I have still to read. Trust Me, I'm Dr. Ozzy, which is advice from rock's ultimate survivor. Kind of an interesting opening for that, right? Dear Dr. Ozzy, I was looking through my 3-year-old son's locker at nursery school the other day and discovered that his best male friend, same age, sent him a Valentine's Day card. What's more, the boy in question has 2 gay dads. I know we're supposed to be cool about this kind of thing nowadays, but I'm freaking out. Advice? I don't even know if I should read through this. Okay, this is just what's in the Ozzy book, okay? It sounds to me like your problem isn't with Valentine's Day card. The kid's 3, so he ain't got a clue what it means anyway, but with the 2 gay dads, I mean, would you be as freaked out if it were a boy with straight parents who sent it? Probably not. You'd probably think it was cute, so you need to sit yourself down and remind yourself the world has changed a lot in the past few years and get over it. To be honest with you. There you go. Ozzy advice. With a really crappy version of his voice done by me. I was going to see if I could find this in here. Anybody else have any? What's your favorite Ozzy song? Now, you mentioned Ultimate Sin, Blake. Is that your favorite record? Is that your favorite album of his? If I was to think about it, Ultimate Sin is it's hard to break away from Diary of a Madman, because Diary of a Madman was that awesome sophomore album. It was great. The songs were fantastic. The range of the songs. So it was almost as if they took everything that was really good from the first album and built on it. And it was awesome. It was just a great record. They really grew. It grew a lot from that first record. So it's a toss up kind of for me between Diary of a Madman and Ultimate Sin. I'm also a huge fan of No Rest for the Wicked. So, but as far as a song, an all-time favorite song, the two songs that were big at the time off of Diary of a Madman, of course, were I just was talking about Over the Mountain and Flying High Again. So Flying High Again, I think, is one of those songs that sometimes can get forgotten, you know, and it was huge. It was almost just as big at the time on the AOR's channel that I was listening to. Because again, I started listening to AOR channel in 1978. I had the station 106 up in Peoria, Illinois, which was because they were playing Blue Collar Man, whereas the hit radio station was playing Renegade. And I'm like, okay, I've heard Renegade enough, but these guys, and I own the album, Pieces of Eight. And so I was like, well, I like Blue Collar Man more. And they were playing that. So I was like, cool, awesome. So yeah, let me know if you want to out there. Let me know what your favorite Ozzy tune is and your favorite Ozzy album. And again, if you saw him live. Now, the last time I saw Ozzy live was at Ozzfest when Judas Priest was with them. And when they were on the bill, and my son and I went out to what I still call Riverport and saw the show, and we saw Judas Priest play, and then we watched Ozzy play. And I think they were doing the Black Sabbath thing on that tour too. So that was really cool to see. But yeah, what a career. Ozzy ended up being, if I remember right, Ozzy ended up being on the latest Judas Priest album. Let's see, kind of like how Bruce Dickinson ended up being on the Halford album. Judas Priest. Yeah, Invincible Shield. Yeah, I'm really certain he was on there. I just got to remember what song it was. I don't know if it's going to tell me. Don't know. Let's take a look here and see. I remember the first time I heard Panic Attack. At first I was like, yeah, okay. But I like it. I just listened to it again. Let's see. Yeah, I thought he was on there. I don't see him listed though. Was it Firepower? Was it a track on Firepower, I wonder? Maybe I'm making it up. Why would I do that? Why would you make this shit up? You know? Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that shit up. I'll find it, though. I can't imagine I'm wrong on that. But he's not in the Wikipedia stuff. So, but that Firepower album and Invincible Shield are great. So, if you've still not heard those and you're a Judas Priest fan, do it, and do it soon. because it's great. All right, guys. I think that's about it. I do want to, you know what? I do want to read this, though, because it hit me a little bit ago. And I took a picture of the lyrics because I was listening to Goodbye to Romance. And at the end of the song, it's almost like a message for now. So the lyrics read, "But I had to take this chance. Goodbye to friends and to romance and to all of you. And to all of you, come on now. I say goodbye to romance, yeah. Goodbye to friends. I'll tell you. Goodbye to all the past. I guess that we'll meet again. Let's see, we'll meet in the end, if I remember right. And the weather's looking fine, and I think the sun will shine again, and I feel I've cleared my mind. All the past is left behind again. Goodbye to romance. Goodbye to friends. Goodbye to all the past. I guess that we'll meet. We'll meet in the end." So if you want to have a cool little moment of Ozzy memory stuff, that's a great track to start with there. Goodbye to Romance, which is on that first album. And to everybody out there, like I say, it's a sad day. I'm glad he had the chance, again, as I said on my message today on Facebook, I'm glad he had the chance to do the farewell show. And I'm glad so many people got to be there and celebrate with him and do it right. What timing, right? I mean, maybe they knew something we didn't know. But it was cool. It's really cool to know that he had that moment. So all right. Well, we're back on track. All right. Thanks a lot. If you guys will look here, you'll notice that I'm going to do that's going to be a little janky, but look, this is what I got to do later on tonight. Got to get this thing figured out, get this music room figured out, because the band is coming back. So be ready. We got a gig coming up in September. It's great to be back and doing that. So I'm going to get this together so that we can do rehearsals and be ready for that. So be sure to keep track of that and watch for an Edge of Blue gig. It's going to be at the Harley Davidson. I'll get you all the information on that. And I got a couple of big shout outs to do, actually. I have one shout out to a place up in, well, actually, it's in Skokie, I guess, Illinois. And a big shout out to Dan and to Ron and even Karen up there at Ken's Diner on Dempster in Skokie, Illinois. If you haven't checked it out and you live up in that area, especially, check it out. It's really good. It's a kosher deli style diner. So I say deli, but they got the meats, that's for sure. But no dairy. So remember that. No dairy, but damn, it's good stuff. All right. So check it out. Ken's Diner up there on Dempster in Skokie, Illinois. Also, a big shout out to my son who took me on a belated Father's Day road trip just away from home to go to Brookfield, Illinois, because they have the Galloping Ghost there, which is the largest arcade in the world. So if you love arcade games and you got some time and about $25 in your pocket, do yourself a favor and go there. And you'll be amazed at all the games that are there, especially folks that are like my age. You will freak out at the games they have there. I was at the front desk and I said, "Do you have Rip-Off?" Because my son was quizzing me on the way. He says, "What games are you looking forward to seeing if they have?" So I said Rip-Off was one. New York was another. You can check out both of these games on YouTube. They've got gameplay of both of these on YouTube. So Rip Off and that. And I said, you know, like Asteroids, but then I said Space Duel, because I'm a big fan of those old vector style games. And in fact, it ties into rock and roll, because if you look at the It's Hard album by The Who, that machine on there is a likeness of the old Space Duel vector video game. Now, I had forgotten about it, and I don't know if I mentioned it to him ahead of time, but I was looking, speaking of rock and roll, I was looking forward to seeing if they had the Journey machine. Do you remember Journey having the video game out there? It was doofy, but man, when it's what you've got. And then they were doing the song for Tron, the original movie, so it was really cool. So I found it. They had it, and I played some of it. And I had more time, I probably would have played more of it. But there were so many games. And the beautiful thing about this place is that you can play so many games and not even worry about playing too long. I mean, maybe you just want to play it and just remember what it was like, because God knows I didn't have the skills to do a lot of the games. I did okay on Tron, though, the one where it has the 4 different areas that you do. I didn't do the bikes very well. I don't know if there was something wrong with joystick, but Galloping Ghost up there in Brookfield, Illinois. Check it out. Man, you put down your money and there is just room after room after room, because you don't just walk down the middle of it to the back room. You come to a wall of video games, and then you kind of walk around, and as you go on the back row, all of a sudden there's an opening, and there's a whole room full of video games. So you go into that one and you start looking around, and you're like, God, this has got to be the end of it, right? No, you go around the backside of that one, and there's another opening that was a little more offset from the opening from the other room. So then you're like, oh my God, there's a whole other room full of games in there. And they kind of keep them together to a certain extent. They put like there are certain games that are split, like I saw Rolling Thunder 2 over here, and I saw Rolling Thunder 1 over here. I saw RoboCop 2 over here. And then in another area, I found RoboCop. They have the Die Hard game, which is crazy. We played that. My son just kept making the joke, you remember this in the movie? Because it was silly what they did in that game. But no, we found the rip-off game, but damn it wasn't working. So, but at least my son got to see a physical copy of the machine, so he knew I wasn't lying. And then we got to even play Space Castle, which was crazy. I don't know if anybody remembers Space Castle. It's another one of these vector games where you have a ship in the middle, and it has 2 outer walls that are rotating opposite directions around that centerpiece. And you have to shoot out the walls and then start shooting the ship that's in the middle. So we played a little bit of that. The screen was a little hard to see, so I'm leaning way over it to play it. But that was fun. I forgot all about that game. Legendary Wings is another one that they had. They had the different Asteroids games. They had a bunch of the NBA Jam games. So all of the different kinds of that one. So they kind of had sports in one section. They had shmups in another. And then they had vector games in certain areas. They did have vector games here and over there. But then they had the beat 'em up games kind of all in the same area. But again, there were some different areas that had some other beat 'em up games. They had the 6-person X-Men game. So my son and I were playing that as 2 different characters. And then another gentleman showed up. He started playing one of the other characters. And then 2 other gentlemen showed up, and we were all playing that game. We beat the game. It was fun. It was neat. Everything. You pay the 1 fee, and that's it. You play, and it's open till 2 a.m. So when we got there, it was after dinner. And he said, yeah, we'll take off at about this time. Well, it was about 2 hours later, because I was being the big kid in the candy store. So anyway, but a big shout out to that. I mean, if you have a trip and you dig video games, and you got a trip that's going to be up in the, say, Chicago-ish area, the northern middle of Illinois there, or, you know, over towards Chicago. I guess that's not really the middle. So over there towards Chicago area, northern Chicago. Check that out. Galloping Ghost. I've got some photos and I've got some video that I'll show you guys. So looking forward to being back, looking forward to finishing this. I've got just a little bit more down here I've got to straighten up. I got these shelf units. It's been great. My daughter was a great help with that. Unfortunately, these shelves that I did here were thin, and even with DVDs on them, they were bowing too much. So, but I was bringing them a little forward, so I just put a 2x4 on there to help sustain it and make it a little stronger. So that was great. Works as a little barrier in the back to bring the DVDs up a little bit, but not too much that I can't put these guys on there, right? So it's kind of fun putting these guys where everything is. So I got a live Alice Cooper DVD down there. I might move him down there, but the police are coming up. These guys are the police down there, and it's great. I did notice that Peter Criss has his drums with his cymbal are one piece. Stuart Copeland, it's two pieces. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, so we'll get it figured out. And I've got my vinyl stuff in the other room, so I'll show you guys that, and we'll get it all figured out. In the meantime, I think that's it. So all you Ozzy fans out there, crank it up, man. Just get all the Ozzy that you love. If it's all of it, get all of it, and just crank it up and enjoy it and love it. And just keep listening to it, because there's so much great stuff. So to everybody out there, man, have a great rest of the evening. Defender, Pitfall, Excite Bike, Pole Position, they had them all. They had them all, man. It was crazy. And they even had, and I'll show you a picture of it later, and we'll talk about it later, they had a hammer away machine. How about that? All right, guys, all the best to you. Have a great rest of the evening again. And remember, when you step out your door every day, you're in everybody else's world. They're not in yours. Take it easy.